Stocktwits. It's a place that sounds like what would happen if Wall Street and Twitter had a baby. And that baby immediately started shouting about Dogecoin. It's a social media platform designed for investors, a digital water cooler where millions gather to share stock tips, panic collectively, and celebrate their tendies. The whole idea, the very foundation of the platform, is open discussion. It's supposed to be a great equalizer where a small-time trader from Ohio can, in theory, have the same voice as a hedge fund manager. The platform's co-founder and recently returned CEO Howard Lindzon has even championed this vision, positioning Stocktwits as a more trustworthy alternative to the chaotic free-for-alls on other sites. He's basically said, "Come to our platform, it's safer here, we have rules," which is a great promise. And like many great promises, it appears to have a few, let's say, asterisks. The central appeal of a platform like Stocktwits is the community's ability to hold each other accountable, to question ideas, and to sniff out potential problems. This is especially true now, with Lindzon himself embracing what he calls the degenerate economy of meme stocks and crypto, an environment that is, to put it mildly, ripe for shenanigans. When you're dealing with highly speculative assets, transparency isn't just a nice to have. It's the flimsy guardrail separating you from financial ruin. Users rely on the platform to facilitate honest conversation, to ask tough questions, and to get straight answers, not just a sea of rocket ship emojis. The platform's own rules are designed to foster this environment, encouraging robust debate while weeding out the trolls and bad actors who poison the well for everyone else. However, a platform's integrity is only as strong as its commitment to enforcing those rules fairly and consistently for everyone. And that's where our story begins, with a glaring and frankly spectacular failure of that very principle. An incident in late August 2025 threw a massive wrench into the gears of this supposed meritocracy, revealing a rather uncomfortable truth. On Stocktwits, it seems some animals are more equal than others. What happens when the person tasked with upholding the rules is the one who shatters them into a million tiny, profane pieces? The answer, it turns out, is deeply troubling and shines a harsh light on the difference between a platform's marketing pitch and its messy reality, raising serious questions about fairness, trust, and who exactly the rules are for. This isn't just some minor online squabble. It cuts to the heart of what makes any online community functional: trust. Without it, a platform is just a collection of anonymous avatars shouting into the void. Users need to believe that the game isn't rigged and that they won't be punished for simply participating in the way they were encouraged to. When a user asks a perfectly reasonable question, they expect a reasonable response, or at the very least, not to be digitally drop-kicked off the platform by the man in charge. This recent scandal has shown that the biggest threat to the community's trust might not be a random scammer, but the very person at the top of the corporate ladder. And that right there is a 5-alarm fire for any company built on community. Let's set the scene. On one side, we have a user, meme stalker, who seems to have committed the audacious act of reading the CEO's public statements. Howard Lindzon had been commenting on a particular stock, and meme stalker, noticing that Lindzon was also a partner in a hedge fund, decided to ask a question. It was a simple civil inquiry about a potential conflict of interest and whether his posts aligned with the company's own guidelines. There was no name-calling, no spamming, no all-caps tirade. It was the kind of legitimate question you'd expect on a platform dedicated to financial discussion. It was, in essence, a user using the platform for its exact intended purpose, to foster transparency and informed debate among its community members. On the other side, we have the CEO's response. And response is a very generous word for what transpired. Instead of addressing the question or even just ignoring it, Lindzon opted for a full-blown verbal meltdown. He fired back with comments like, "Stop being a dumbass crybaby," and the ever-eloquent "Quit your lies and bullshit, fuck off." Yes, you heard that right. The CEO of a major financial platform, a man who wants to be seen as a leader in the space, told a user to fuck off for asking a pertinent question. To top it all off, he tagged the company's community director in a post saying, "Goodbye, dummy," which is the corporate executive equivalent of a mob boss pointing at someone and quietly nodding to his henchmen. It was less a conversation and more a public execution of a user's account. The very next morning, surprise, surprise, Meme Stalker's account was permanently banned. The user who asked a calm question was gone, while the CEO who responded with a torrent of profanity and insults remained, presumably to continue fostering a trustworthy community. The sequence of events is just staggering in its blatant unfairness. It's like a referee calling a penalty on a player for getting punched in the face. The message sent was crystal clear. Do not question the king, or you will be exiled from the kingdom. This wasn't a moderation decision made in a gray area. It was a retaliatory action initiated from the very top, designed to silence dissent rather than uphold any coherent set of rules. This whole exchange is a textbook example of a power imbalance gone wild. One person followed the social contract of the platform, contributing to the discourse in a constructive manner. The other person, who happens to hold all the power, threw that contract into a shredder, lit the shreds on fire, and used the ashes to write a series of vulgar insults. The disparity between the user's conduct and the CEO's reaction is not just a bad look, it's a fundamental betrayal of the platform's promise. It demonstrates that the rules are not a shield to protect the community, but a weapon to be wielded by those in power against anyone who dares to challenge them, no matter how politely. Now let's talk about the rules. Every online community has them, and Stocktwits is no exception. Their house rules are pretty standard stuff. Don't harass people, no personal attacks, no insults, avoid vulgarity. You know, the basic tenets of not being a complete monster on the internet. When you examine Meme Stalker's original question, it's clear they navigated these rules with the precision of a surgeon. The inquiry was about a potential conflict of interest, a topic that is not only relevant but crucial on a financial platform. It was phrased respectfully and targeted the CEO's public actions, not his personal life. By every conceivable metric, the user was playing by the book, engaging in the exact kind of critical yet civil discourse the platform claims to want. And then there's the CEO. Howard Lindzon didn't just break a rule. He took the entire rulebook and went on a rampage with it. His responses, dumbass crybaby, fuck off dummy, are a speedrun of violations. They tick the boxes for insults, harassment, and vulgarity. And let's not forget the final move, coordinating a ban to silence criticism. This isn't just breaking the rules, it's abusing moderation authority, which is arguably the most serious offense one can commit on a platform that relies on fair governance. It's the digital equivalent of a police chief robbing a bank and then arresting the teller for asking what he's doing. The hypocrisy is so thick you could spread it on toast. This isn't just a one-off bad day either. Lindzon has publicly stated his commitment to rules and creating a moderated, safe environment. In a 2021 interview, he literally said that as long as users follow certain rules, they can yell all day. It seems there was a silent unless you're yelling at me at the end of that sentence. This incident reveals a glaring double standard where the rules are for the little people, not for the person who signs the checks. This kind of rules for thee, but not for me attitude is absolutely corrosive. It tells the entire user base of over 10 million people that the principles of fairness and respect are conditional and can be tossed aside at the whim of one powerful individual. The damage this does is immense. It completely undermines the platform's claim to be a trustworthy space. How can any user feel safe asking a critical question, an essential function in the degenerate economy of meme stocks, when they've seen what happens to those who do? The CEO's actions have created a chilling effect, signaling that obedience is valued more than inquiry. It transforms the platform from a town square for open debate into a royal court where the only acceptable speech is flattery. This blatant disregard for the platform's own governing principles from the man at the very top is a spectacular own goal, and one that has rightly drawn scrutiny, even escalating to the SEC. So where does Stocktwits go from here? The first step is to stop pretending this didn't happen. A scandal like this, involving the CEO directly, cannot be swept under the rug. Ignoring it is not an option, as it would only confirm every user's worst fear, that the system is indeed rigged. The company needs to immediately initiate a transparent, third-party review of the incident. This isn't about one user's ban, it's about reaffirming the platform's commitment to its own rules. The user, Meme Stalker, has requested a formal acknowledgement and an explanation of remedial steps, which is the bare minimum. A public statement from the company, not the CEO, is necessary to begin rebuilding the bridge that Lindzon so spectacularly burned. Restoring trust requires more than just a half-hearted apology. It requires concrete action. The company should, at the very least, reinstate the user's account and issue a public clarification that Lindzon's behavior was unacceptable and violated company policy. This would send a powerful message that no one, not even the CEO, is above the rules. Furthermore, this incident should trigger a serious internal conversation about moderation policies and executive conduct. There need to be clear checks and balances to prevent a powerful individual from unilaterally silencing a user they disagree with. Without such safeguards, the platform remains vulnerable to the whims of a single person, which is a terrifying prospect for any community. This matters far beyond the world of stock picking. It's a case study in the fragility of trust in online communities. These platforms wield enormous influence, shaping financial decisions for millions of people, many of whom are young and impressionable. When a leader acts like a tyrant, it erodes the very foundation on which the community is built. It teaches users that power, not principle, is what truly matters. For a company that has recently pivoted to focus entirely on its social platform, losing the trust of its community is a potentially fatal blow. People will simply migrate to other platforms if they feel the game is unfair and their voices can be silenced for no good reason. Ultimately, this is a test of character for Stocktwits as a company. Will it protect its CEO at the expense of its principles? Or will it uphold the rules it claims to value? The right choice is clear. They need to address this head-on, admit the mistake, and demonstrate a real commitment to fair and equal rule enforcement. True leaders don't demand respect through fear and censorship. They earn it through integrity and accountability. It's time for Stocktwits to decide what kind of platform it wants to be. A genuine community built on open discourse, or a petty dictatorship where the first rule is don't upset the boss. The entire community, and now the SEC, is watching.